This is 5 on your side at 5. Focused on you.
We start at 5 with breaking news out of Central Illinois, where first responders are dealing with multiple crashes involving 40 to 60 passenger cars and another 20 commercial vehicles. Multiple people are dead and more than 30 are in the hospital with injuries. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Kelly Jackson.
And I'm Mike Bush. Right now, first responders believe a dust storm is what caused the massive pileup. It happened south of Springfield between DeVernon and Farmersville. And 5 on your side's Mercedes McKay is live along I-55. Mercedes, another news conference just wrapped up moments ago. So what have you learned?
Mike and Kelly, we did just learn that at least 6 people are dead now because of this crash on I-55. And those 30 people that you mentioned that were transported to the hospital, their injuries range from minor to life-threatening, and their ages range from 2 to 80 years old. Now, we're actually along a service road right now next to I-55. This is as close to the crash scene as we could get. We're near mile marker 80, which is near the end of the crash scene. We've actually seen a couple of cars and semi-trucks involved in those crashes being actually taken right now, towed away by big trucks. So there's still a lot of cleanup here along I-55. And if you take a look behind me here, you can see IDOT trucks. They've been here for the last couple of hours redirecting traffic. Off in the distance, we do still see some dust. And as you can tell by our live shot right now, these wind conditions are still really bad. Take a look at this video now. You can see just how bad the road conditions were at the time of the crash. You can see how the visibility was here and just how low that visibility was. The combination of winds, loose topsoil, and freshly plowed fields is what police believe caused the initial dust storm. Police say the first crash that caused the chain reaction was going northbound, and it happened just before 11 near mile marker 76. 20 commercial vehicles and between 40 to 60 passenger cars were involved. 2 semi-trucks also caught on fire from the crash. More than 30 people were sent to 4 area hospitals. Multiple helicopters responded, and 1 person was transported by helicopter. Illinois State Police said I-55 probably won't open up until tomorrow afternoon, and cleanup will last until early morning.
The visibility is still poor in the area, so that's on top of numerous vehicles all over the roadway that need to be removed. In addition to low visibility, that's why the I-55 and that stretch will be closed for such a long period of time.
We also learned in that press conference moments ago that at least 30 agencies are involved in this crash right now. Like he mentioned, there's still a lot of cleanup to be had here. And he also mentioned the trooper. He's been in the service for 24 years. He says he's never seen a dust storm cause this type of severity. If anyone is still looking to reunite with loved ones, they're also asked to call the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS. Laura Barcheski will have much more coming up at 6. Live in DeVernon, Mercedes McKay, 5 on your side.
What an awful situation. Illinois State Police mentioned that they think winds stirring up the dust and debris played the big role in those crashes.
And we can see it from those pictures. And meteorologist Jim Castillo is here to break down today's wind speeds, Jim.
Yeah, still seeing that northwest wind gusting to 40 miles an hour, sustained at 23. And so some of those top wind speeds today, even around St. Louis and northward, have been over 50 miles an hour. So yesterday I had a viewer just send me this picture and said driving even in St. Charles County with the dust was very intense and very difficult. So the blowing dust, growing season, farmers are tilling the soil, so that's blowing around. Then you have April was very much below average, over 2 inches, so we're very dry. And of course, those strong wind gusts, you create that blowing dust. And those headlines, of course, winds relax tonight, gusting to 35 miles an hour tomorrow. So that we're going to have another windy day, but maybe not as windy as today, and less wind for sure on Wednesday. Coming up, our next chance of rain, I'll let you know when that happens and time it out.
Jim, thanks. Well, today, a Missouri court issued a restraining order against Attorney General Andrew Bailey's proposed restrictions on transgender health care for minors and adults.
That means gender-affirming health care will remain available for transgender patients as hospitals, clinics, and the ACLU continue with their lawsuit against the state's proposed emergency rules to severely restrict the treatments. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, talked to parents who would be impacted by the rule if it was allowed to take effect, Mark.
Kelly and Mike, I also talked to politicians running for Attorney General. Republicans and Democrats are criticizing Andrew Bailey today. Democratic candidates said his priorities are on grabbing headlines, not on protecting Missourians from harmful drugs like opioids. Bailey's Republican challenger, Will Sharf's campaign, said it's disappointing to see an Attorney General's office that used to win important cases like this under Hawley and Schmidt lose under Bailey. Bailey's office said, quote, "We remain confident in our position because the court hasn't yet ruled on the merits or the science itself. Had the court allowed this ruling to go into effect, it would have immediately disrupted plans of care for hundreds of adults and teens who are in varying states of transition." We spoke to one parent of a 16-and-a-half-year-old transgender teen who started therapy 5 years ago, long before a doctor would eventually prescribe testosterone treatments. That parent told us that few people realize how long and how costly the road to gender-affirming care can be on a family, and said it's not something anyone does on an impulse.
To be forced out of this state because they want to tell my kid what health care we and his doctors think he needs and he wants is just infuriating. I mean, parental rights and my kid's bodily autonomy should trump anything that these idiots want to say. They don't go to medical school. They have no knowledge about my kid at all. And they're trying to tell my kid what health care he needs.
This is hardly the end of this political debate spilling over from the legislature into the courts now. Republicans in Jefferson City may end up writing restrictions on transgender medical procedures into the law before they let out in 2 weeks. This was just an emergency rule. The Attorney General and trans advocates suing him are due back in court the day before the House and Senate are scheduled to wrap up their work.
Mark, thanks. Well, we learned today 2 more attorneys have left the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office, leaving just 1 prosecutor assigned to nearly 500 violent felonies.
Christine Myers first broke the news on KSDK.com that Chris Desilets is stepping down effective immediately, and she's here to tell us what the city's judges have to say about these latest developments. Christine.
Thanks, Kelly. Other than the 2 judges who have held hearings to determine whether to hold Gardner's office in contempt for missing trials, the rest of the bench has been pretty quiet about the crisis in the Circuit Attorney's Office. Today, the 30 of them spoke as one in a statement saying they're deeply concerned and, quote, "We will continue to make reasonable accommodations amid the CAO's current staffing crisis while always balancing the rights of defendants, crime victims, and their families to ensure the fair and efficient administration of justice." Gardner's spokeswoman issued a statement just 2 hours ago, which read in part, "While we have had some high-profile departures, the office continues to seek justice for the people of St. Louis. The circuit attorney has made adjustments to the workload to ensure all cases are covered and is actively recruiting talented attorneys." Assistant Circuit Attorney Chris Desilets confirmed to me this morning that he is resigning. He's facing a contempt of court charge for failing to show up to a trial and subsequent hearing on the same case. Meanwhile, attorney Alex Polta is also leaving. Kim Gardner confirmed that news in an email to staff late Friday afternoon, which read, "Team, we want to wish Alexander Polta well on his new endeavors." Both Desilets and Polta blamed their absences in court on medical issues. Desilets will still be expected to appear before Judge Noble for that contempt hearing May 30th, as will Gardner or someone from her office.
So what do we know about the prosecutor who is still in the union, Christine?
Sure. So the prosecutor who is still left in this unit, his name is Sai Chirgurapada, and he has had a medical history going on. Just a few months ago, he had a medical emergency in court.
So, but he's there right now, though?
He is
back
still there. He is assigned to cases, and he has been in court.
And how are they going to cover all these cases?
Well, according to their statement, they're saying that they're just adjusting the workload. And just within the last hour, they fulfilled a sunshine request. And it showed that there are 22 people in the office that have the attorney title with them, but they're not assigned to that violent felonies unit.
All right. Well, more to come, I'm sure, in the days to come.